You cut your finger. It heals in a week. You sprained your ankle at 30. Back to normal in 10 days. Now, that same ankle takes 3 months. That scratch on your arm, it lingers. That sore muscle from one afternoon of gardening, it stays with you. Not for days, for weeks. You're not imagining it. Your body is repairing itself more slowly. And today I'm going to show you exactly why. At the cellular level, because it's not laziness, it's not weakness. It's a biological process called cellular senescence. And once you understand it, everything changes. Julia, 61 years old, said something that stuck with me. She said, "I used to bounce back. Now I just don't." She wasn't talking about a specific disease. She was talking about something more subtle. That feeling that your body stopped working on your side. That one bad night of sleep turns into 3 days of brain fog. That a simple fall turns into an injury that lasts for months. That you get hurt less often, but it takes twice as long to recover. Julia wasn't getting weak. Her body's repair mechanism was changing. And the same thing is probably happening to you. Think of your body like a massive city. Not a perfect city, a living city. One that has constant damage, potholes in the roads, buildings that need maintenance, infrastructure that ages. And that city has repair crews. They work 24 hours a day. When damage happens, they show up, fix it, and the city keeps running. At 30, those crews are fast, efficient, plenty of them. You cut your finger, the crew shows up in minutes. You sleep poorly for a week. The system restores. You overdo it at the gym. Muscle fibers rebuild stronger. But after 50, something changes in those repair crews. Some of them stop working properly, and others, the most important ones, simply stop showing up. Not by accident, by biological design. Let me show you what's really happening. Every cell in your body has a limited number of times it can divide. This is called the Hayflick limit, discovered by scientist Leonard Hayflick in the 1960s. When a cell approaches that limit, it doesn't die. It stops dividing, but it remains in your body. That is a senescent cell. And here's what's important to understand. Senescent cells are not neutral. They are active. They release chemical signals to nearby cells, signals that say, something is wrong here. In small amounts, that's useful. Those signals attract the immune system to clean up damage. They signal that tissue needs repair. That's the process working correctly. But after 50, several biological systems begin to shift. One of the main factors is the accumulation of senescent cells. But it's not the only one. Stem cell activity declines. Mitochondrial efficiency changes. Hormonal signaling shifts. Senescence is an important piece, but it's part of a larger picture. So these cells begin to accumulate, and those chemical signals, helpful in small doses, turn into constant noise. Low-grade inflammation that doesn't go away. An alarm that never shuts off. Researchers call this inflammaging, a combination of inflammation and aging, chronic background inflammation that accompanies aging. And that's exactly what Julia was feeling, without knowing how to name it. Now here's what's truly fascinating. For decades, science treated aging as a one-way road. You age, your cells age, that's it. But researchers at the Mayo Clinic did something that changed that understanding. They identified and removed senescent cells in mice. And what happened? In specific mouse models, selectively clearing those cells improved physical function. There was a delay in the onset of several age-related conditions. And in some models, there was a modest extension of lifespan. Most importantly, tissue function improved. This does not prove we can reverse aging in humans. Human biology is far more complex, but it proves something fundamental. Senescent cells are not inevitable. they are variable. And that variation matters. Think of it this way. Two people, same age, 58 years old. One has a high burden of senescent cells. The other has significantly fewer. They age very differently. One has chronic background inflammation. The other does not. One recovers slowly from any injury. The other much more efficiently. The difference isn't the number of years. It's the number of senescent cells and how the body is managing them. And here's what most people don't understand. Senescent cells don't just sit there. They communicate. The chemical signals they release, called SASP, or senescence-associated secretory phenotype, can push nearby healthy cells into senescence as well. It's like one employee who stops working and slowly convinces everyone around them to do the same. Over years, this process may be linked to accelerated decline across multiple systems at once. Not just muscle, not just skin, heart, brain, liver. Studies show that people with higher accumulation of senescent cells tend to have higher risk of age-related diseases, such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. That does not mean they are the only cause, but they appear to be an important part of the process. This is not a sentence, it's information, and information changes what you do next. Here's the shift that changes everything. For decades, medicine treated the consequences of aging. Joint pain, painkiller, slow recovery, physical therapy, chronic inflammation, anti-inflammatory drugs. Nothing wrong with that. But none of those treatments address the underlying mechanism. More recent research is looking in a different direction. Instead of treating the symptoms of senescent cells, what happens if the body can remove them more efficiently? An emerging class of compounds called senolytics is being studied for exactly that reason. They are in early stages of clinical research. They are not established treatments, but the scientific direction is fascinating. And in the meantime, while science advances, research suggests there are things that may have real impact on senescent cell burden. Things you can do, not as a cure, but as part of a lifestyle that works in your favor. Here's the insight I want you to take from this video. You are not breaking. Your body has not given up on you. What's happening is a measurable process with identifiable causes and, within certain limits, variables you can influence. I used to bounce back. Now I just don't. What Julia was feeling has a name. It has a mechanism, and it has factors that can be worked on. This isn't a cure. It's clarity. And clarity is where empowerment begins. So, what can you do? Research suggests several areas with growing evidence. They are not miracles. They are biological levers that appear to influence the rate at which senescent cells accumulate. First, resistance training. Not aerobic, resistance. Exercises that create controlled muscle tension. Studies suggest mechanical stress in muscle activates cellular cleanup mechanisms, including autophagy, the process by which the body recycles damaged cells. It doesn't have to be heavy gym training, moderate weightlifting, resistance bands, strength-based yoga. Evidence indicates the stimulus needs to exist. Without resistance movement, cellular cleanup processes tend to decline with age. If you have joint conditions or other limitations, the best approach is individualized. Talk to a healthcare professional about the right type of exercise for you. Second, sleep quality, not just quantity. Do you know what happens while you sleep? During deep sleep, a system called the glymphatic system becomes much more active. It helps remove metabolic waste from the brain, including proteins associated with neurological aging. It's like a cleaning cycle that happens mainly at night. It's not just how many hours you sleep, it's the quality of that deep sleep. Alcohol, chronic stress and irregular schedules fragment that cycle. Research suggests chronic sleep deprivation significantly accelerates the accumulation of cellular waste. Third, managing dietary inflammation. Senescent cells release inflammatory signals, and a diet that creates additional inflammation amplifies that signal. Evidence consistently points to excess refined sugar, industrial trans fats, highly processed foods with low nutrient density. These appear to increase inflammatory markers in adults over 50. This doesn't mean a perfect diet. It means consistently reducing inflammatory load. Mediterranean-style dietary patterns, rich in olive oil, fatty fish, vegetables, and legumes, are consistently associated with lower inflammatory markers. Fourth, managing chronic stress. Here's something many people don't connect. Chronic psychological stress accelerates cellular senescence. Researchers have measured this in telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of chromosomes. People with high chronic stress tend to have significantly shorter telomeres, which are associated with accelerated senescence. Meditation, time in nature, meaningful social connection, healthy professional boundaries. These are not soft skills. They are biology. One important note, each person has a different burden of senescent cells. Genetics influences it. Medical history influences it. Current medications influence it. The best approach is always individualized. If you want to understand where you stand specifically, there are inflammatory markers, such as high-sensitivity CRP, that your doctor can evaluate, not as a diagnosis of senescence, but as a starting point for conversation. Let's go back to the beginning. You cut your finger and it takes longer to heal. You overdo it in the yard and you pay for it for days. You feel like your body stopped working on your side. Now you know this has a name. It has a mechanism. It involves specific cells driving a real shift in your biology. And most importantly, this mechanism is not fixed. Science is showing, more clearly every year, that senescent cell burden is variable, that habits matter, that what you do in your 50s and 60s influences how you function in your 70s and 80s. This is not a promise of eternal youth. It's something more valuable. Real control over real variables. Julia came back to tell me after I shared part of this information with her. She said, "I didn't know there was a reason. Knowing the reason makes it feel less like losing." That's it. Understanding doesn't fix everything, but it removes the weight of thinking it's just getting old. Because it's not. It's biology. And biology can be influenced. Human aging is complex. No single biological pathway explains everything. If this video resonated with you, there's a concept that deepens all of this. In the previous video, we explored how your genes are not your destiny, how environment and habits can activate or silence specific genes. Senescent cells and epigenetics are two sides of the same coin. One video completes the other. The link is here on the screen. Watch it when you can. I think you'll understand your body in a completely new way. And if this made a difference for you today, leave a comment. I want to know, have you felt like your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to? When did you first notice the shift? I'll see you in the next one.